So let me begin with the Senior Wardens Report. Just over 2 years ago, I inherited, almost literally, this job after the lamented death of John Downe. As you know, for most of those years, the great task before us, all of us, was the calling of a new rector. No one is more delighted than I that with the help of many, including all of you, we have not only accomplished that task, but have, in the process, blessed ourselves with a priest, a pastor, a teacher of spiritual depth, warmth, eloquence, discernment, lightly carried energy, and a wonderful sense of humor. Mother Kate, we're glad you're here. Where is she hiding? Oh, she's over there. The other task that called for a good deal of my time is parish finance. And I want to focus on that today, both in the interests of transparency and because we'll need to work together to meet the challenge presented and to fulfill our dreams. I'm going to offer a big picture overview, but invite anyone who has a question of detail to speak after the meeting with our wonderful treasurer, Spencer Hong, who's hiding in the second row there. Wave. There we go. Let me supply a little bit of context. Because in my former life I was a legal historian, I have to, of course, provide a little context. Unfortunately, Mother Kate has forbidden me from delivering a lecture on 18th century pew rents. How regrettable. But more recently, once upon a time, parish finances here and at most similar churches was the same. Some old guys who looked like me were elected to the vestry, and at the end of the year, the rector told them how large the deficit was, and they all wrote checks to cover it. Father Kim, can I ask you to advance that? Thank you. Well, that's not St. James today, and there are so many reasons to celebrate that. Neither the vestry nor the congregation looks like our days of old, and neither does our financial model, and that has some implications we need to understand. I should probably begin with what we do, in part because it was one of the big eye-openers to me when I became a warden. As Mother Kate has already said, as wonderful as our Sundays are, a great deal of what we do doesn't happen on Sundays, and most of it doesn't involve people who get salaries. Let me repeat that because it's really important. As wonderful as our Sundays are, a great deal of what we do doesn't happen on Sundays, and most of it doesn't involve people who get salaries. Let me supply just a couple of examples. This place hums with activity. I was stunned during the week. I was stunned when meetings with our Education for Ministry session or other events brought me to St. James on other days than Sunday. I was stunned by the amount of activity, and that most of that activity was driven by volunteers whose labor greatly magnifies our cash outlays. To use a simple example, in a modern version of the loaves and fishes, a small amount of food, most of it donated, but prepared by our volunteers, greatly magnifies the result. Father Kim? Speaking of cash and of loaves and fishes, what does it take to do what we do right now? Roughly speaking, it takes about $2,700 a day, $19,000 a week to do what we're doing right now. Let me break that down even more. If we have about 200 pledging units, we have considerably more parishioners than that, but many of us are in families, so 200 is a fair guess. That's $95 a week from each pledging unit. Now that amount is out of reach for some, but others can do more. And whatever we do individually, I think it's important that all of us understand what it takes. As the slide shows, we've been careful with our money in lots of ways, in two ways. First, not spending our seed money. We have some endowment and quasi-endowment, not spending that on operating expenses, and keeping a careful eye on money going out. We have a very lean staff, probably leaner than most parishes our size. And we have fixed non-salary expenses. We have to pay insurance, utilities, and the like. So where does our money come from and where does it go? The basic answer is simple. We have about $100,000 a year from various endowments, and about an equal amount of net rectory rental income when the rectory is rented. It's currently on the market. And the rest is pledges. I'm sorry to report that there is not a pot of gold under the rainbow. It's us and only us. And for 2019, we, that's us, have so far pledged less than we did last year. So what do? Part of the answer is what I'm doing right now, at least I hope it is, making it absolutely clear to all of us that we need to increase our income. But the second part is to dream, because everything we know about churches is that undreamt dreams don't come true, and the thoughts of an economy of scarcity become self-fulfilling prophecies. To prevent that, let me, this is very personal, offer some of my own dreams, emphasizing that they are personal and offered only to stimulate all of us, all of you, to engage in your own dreaming. So here are some of mine. What if we could hire an associate rector and a lay staff person to create a comprehensive program of Christian education with not just Sunday school, but groups for tweens and teens and an online community of our young people who are away at college? What if we had a lay staff member who could coordinate some of these wonderful overlapping congregations that we have into, say, monthly potluck suppers organized by adjacent zip codes, affinity groups that shared some interest, from social justice to new movies to cooking recipes from unfamiliar cuisines? What if we could hire a social worker who could connect the homeless population with housing and other resources? I offer these, and these are my ideas, they haven't been endorsed by anybody, with the thoughts that they might inspire you to dream your own dreams. Because unless we dream, we can't make our dreams come true. Many of these dreams would require resources, but resources have a way of following dreams. Back to the world of today. In the longish run, there are a number of ideas we have, including plan giving, bequests, grant writing, more imaginative deployment of our real property, and more. While these ideas suggest that the long-term future will be bright, we need to get to that long term. And we will. We are blessed with a wonderful new rector, increased attendance, a high-functioning vestry that will only get better when your current senior warden steps down, and an awareness in the diocese of the great gifts that St. James offers, not only to Los Angeles, to this corner of Los Angeles, but to God's kingdom. Let me close by thanking collectively your wonderful vestry. They have been for me and for all of us a gifted, discerning, generous, and wise group, both those who are stepping down, among whom I have to single out our wonderful junior warden who's hiding somewhere in the background there, Emily Abbott. And those who are continuing to serve. May we have a brief round of applause for all the vestry members who are stepping down at this time. And we have a very small gift to recognize their years of service.